The galaxy had almost forgotten that humans ever existed. 20,000 years had passed since the last human ship was seen among the stars. The great space routes were now filled with alien traders, alien warfleets, and alien colonies. Worlds had changed hands many times, empires had risen and fallen, but no one had seen a single human face. Most believed humanity had gone extinct. Some said they had destroyed themselves in some ancient war. Others whispered that they had left the galaxy entirely, searching for some other place to call home. But for most, humans were nothing more than a story told to frighten children. A warning about the dangers of ambition. Then, one cold night in the far reaches of deep space, a small listening station orbiting a lonely moon caught something strange. It was just a faint pulse at first, almost lost in the background noise of the cosmos. The alien technician on duty leaned closer to the screen, his eyes widening as the signal repeated, slow, steady, unmistakable. It was a human distress code. No one had heard such a signal in 200 centuries. The technician's hands shook as he sent the report to his superiors. The answer came back fast. Lock the signal, trace it, and do not tell anyone else. Far away, on the edge of a dying star system, space itself seemed to shiver. A ripple of light twisted in the black void, and then a ship emerged. It was huge, shaped like a spearhead, its hull scarred and broken in places. It looked old, impossibly old, yet it still moved forward. No transponder codes, no identification, only the faint glow of its engines. Its name, written in fading letters along the side, was the Dauntless. The ship drifted slowly at first, then adjusted its course, heading into the main space lanes. Inside, only a few lights flickered in the long corridors. Dust floated in the air. The walls groaned with the sound of strained metal. And yet, the bridge was active. A lone figure stood at the center, hands resting on the controls. Captain Elias Ward stared at the endless stars ahead, his face calm but his eyes hard. He was human, alive, and wearing a uniform from an era no alien could even remember. He said nothing, but the ship seemed to respond to his silent commands. On ancient monitors, ghostly green text scrolled across the screens. Damage reports, power fluctuations, navigation data. The engines were weak, the weapons offline. But there was something hidden in the heart of the ship. Something the sensors kept locked behind encrypted codes. The signal from the Dauntless spread across the galaxy. First to the small patrol fleets, then to the larger military outposts. Within days, every major alien power knew of the return. Some reacted with disbelief, others with fear. The last time humans had sailed the stars, they had fought wars that left whole worlds burned to ash. The memory of those wars had never fully faded, even after 20,000 years. In the grand chambers of the Galactic Council, whispers turned to arguments. Old enemies who had once fought each other now spoke in quiet agreement. Humanity must not be allowed to rise again. The return of a single ship could mean the return of many more. If humans had survived in hiding, what had they been building all this time? What weapons had they created in the darkness of forgotten space? But not all aliens saw danger. Some saw opportunity. The humans had been clever, cunning, and fiercely loyal to their allies. If the Dauntless had returned, perhaps it carried knowledge or technology that could shift the balance of power in the galaxy. Already, secret messages were being sent by smugglers and spies. Find the ship, contact the captain, offer protection in exchange for whatever secrets it carried. Meanwhile, on the Dauntless, Captain Ward sat in the captain's chair. He tapped a few commands into the control panel, and the forward view shifted. Out there, beyond the scattered stars, he could see the faint glow of the alien worlds ahead. They had forgotten humanity, but he had not forgotten them. His ship groaned as it adjusted course. Slipping deeper into the busy space lanes, he knew the signal had been heard. He knew the hunters were already on their way. That was the point. Ward's face remained expressionless, but deep in his mind, a plan was unfolding. The ship carried something far more valuable than its weapons or engines. It carried a purpose, a reason to return after so many silent centuries. The time for hiding was over. The time for humanity's voice to echo across the stars again had come. In the shadows of the galaxy, war was already being born, and it had all begun with one ghost ship drifting out of the dark. Its engines burned faintly, cutting through the void, and for the first time in 20,000 years, the galaxy remembered the name of humanity. The Dauntless did not slow. It cut through the star lanes like a predator. Some who saw it swore. The ship's lights glowed like eyes, watching them. Others claimed they heard whispers through their comms, voices speaking in a language no alien translator could decode. Rumors spread faster than the ship itself, that the humans had been waiting, that they had grown stronger, that they had returned for revenge. And far out in the black, Captain Ward allowed himself the smallest of smiles. Let them talk, let them fear. The silence was over. The Dauntless drifted in the dark between stars. Its hull was a patchwork of scars, each one a memory of a battle older than any living being. Dust from dead worlds clung to its armor, and whole sections of plating had been melted into strange shapes. But deep inside, in the heart of the ghost ship, power still pulsed like a slow heartbeat. Captain Elias Ward walked the narrow corridors. The air was cold and dry, each step echoing like it was in a tomb. Every door he passed told the same story, sealed tight, locked by codes no one else could break. Behind them were rooms once filled with crew, now silent. He remembered their faces, but not all their names. That was the curse of long years alone. In the control room, the lights flickered. Screens showed pieces of the ship's systems, most damaged, some completely gone, but in the center, one display glowed steady. The core vault, whatever was inside it was the reason the Dauntless still moved, and the reason Elias Ward was still alive. He had been there when the ship vanished 20,000 years ago. He had watched his crew disappear, one by one, swallowed by the void. And he had carried their last mission ever since. The galaxy had forgotten humans. But Ward had not forgotten the galaxy. Outside, in the cold black, alien scout ships followed at a distance. They kept their sensors locked on the Dauntless but did not approach. They had heard the stories about ships that came too close and were never seen again. Some believed it was cursed. Others thought it had weapons that could erase a fleet in a single shot. Ward noticed them but said nothing. Instead, he reached for the comm system. His voice was calm, slow, each word carrying weight. "Prepare transmission," he said to the ship. A deep hum answered. Even after centuries, the Dauntless still responded like a loyal soldier. He began speaking in an old human dialect. The message was simple, a call to all surviving humans to awaken. Somewhere, hidden far from alien eyes, bunkers would stir, cryo-sleep chambers would open. Warships buried in secret docks would begin to warm their engines. The Dauntless was not returning to beg for a place among the stars. It was returning to take back what had been stolen. In a shadowed corner of the ship, a machine shaped like a coffin hissed softly. Inside, a pale blue light scanned Ward's face, confirming his identity for the 1,000th time. The vault door did not open, but deep behind it, something shifted. As if alive, Ward knew he was being watched, not just by aliens, but by forces far older. Light years away, the Galactic Council chamber burned with voices. Images of the Dauntless hovered in the air, every dent and scorch mark magnified. The ambassadors argued. Some wanted it destroyed before it reached the core systems. Others demanded it be captured. A few whispered that it should be left alone. But fear overruled them. An order went out. Every available fleet was to track and stop the ghost ship. Not all listened to the council. In hidden ports, pirate captains sharpened their plans. Black market dealers offered fortunes to anyone who could bring back even a scrap of the Dauntless. Some alien mercenaries swore they would board it, strip it, and sell its secrets. None of them truly understood what they were chasing. The ship's sensors picked up the movement of enemy fleets ahead. Ward slowed the engines, letting the Dauntless drift like space debris. From the outside, it looked weak, almost dying, inside. Deep in its spine, ancient systems whispered to life. The lights in the corridors brightened, the hum of the engines deepened, and far in the vault, something began to wake. An alien scout ship broke formation, moving closer. Its captain wanted to test the human ghost ship. They locked weapons, sent a warning pulse. Ward didn't respond. The alien ship fired a single beam at the Dauntless. The beam touched the hull and vanished. No explosion, no damage. Instead, the energy was gone. Swallowed by the ship's strange armor, Ward allowed himself a thin smile. The Dauntless had learned things in the dark, things the galaxy had never seen. He sat in the captain's chair, fingers brushing the cracked armrest on the main screen. Dozens of red markers glowed, ships ahead, ships behind. They thought they had the Dauntless trapped. They didn't know they were being led. Through the cum, a voice spoke alien. Harsh, this is the Krath fleet. Power down and prepare to be boarded. You are trespassing in protected space. Ward didn't answer right away. He let silence fill the channel until the alien captain began to speak again. Then, in a voice colder than space itself, Ward said, You've had 20,000 years to prepare. You wasted them. The channel went dead. The Dauntless shifted course, cutting straight toward the blockade. Its engines flared brighter than they had in centuries. The alien ships moved to block. Ward's hands rested on the controls. The vault deep within the ship began to hum like a living heart. The hunt for humanity had begun. But the galaxy would soon learn. The hunter was not the Dauntless. It was Elias Ward, and he had come to finish what had been started so long ago. The Galactic Council met in the tallest chamber of the Citadel spire. The air was heavy with the scent of alien ozone. Dozens of species filled the room, some with fur, some with scales, some with metal skin that clicked softly as they moved. They all stared at the floating projection in the center. It was the image of the human ghost ship, the Dauntless, slowly turning in the void. The council leader, a tall insect-like being, named Vral, tapped his claw against the table. This, he said in a voice that rattled the glass walls, is the same vessel recorded 20,000 years ago during the last human war. His black eyes glimmered. It should not exist. Humans should not exist. Across the table, the representative of the K'thun Confederacy leaned forward. Her skin shimmered like oil on water, her voice smooth and cold. If the humans have returned, then they have been hiding in deep space. For longer than we thought possible, she said. They do not return without reason. An old, four-armed reptilian general named Drash slammed his fists onto the table. They were a plague, he growled. They burned entire continents to win their wars. We united to destroy them, and we failed. Now one of their warships drifts among our lanes. I say we erase it before it calls more of its kind. But a smaller voice came from the shadows of the chamber, the envoy from the minor trade worlds. A soft-skinned creature with bright green eyes spoke slowly. You think destruction will be easy. I think you have forgotten what they were capable of. He pointed at the projection. That ship looks broken, but I tell you, every scratch, every dent is a warning. The chamber fell silent for a moment. Everyone knew the history. They remembered how humans had fought with a kind of desperation no other species understood. When they were losing, they became more dangerous. When they were winning, they became unstoppable. Vrail finally broke the silence. We will not take chances, he said. From this moment, all fleets are ordered to intercept and contain the Dauntless. He looked at the reptilian general. Use any means necessary. Across the galaxy, the order spread like wildfire. Warships left their docks. Stealth frigates vanished into wormholes. Hunter-killer drones activated after centuries of rest. On a dozen alien worlds, military leaders studied the old war logs. They replayed grainy footage of human fleets burning across the stars. And every time they saw it, they remembered why they had feared humanity. But not all followed the Council's command. In the slums of the trade stations, smugglers whispered to each other. If the humans had returned, They might be carrying technology worth more than any world. A single weapon from the Dauntless could make a pirate king untouchable. Ships without flags began slipping away from ports, moving to hunt the ghost ship, not to destroy it, but to steal from it. In the cold of deep space, the Dauntless continued. On its path, Captain Ward sat in the dark of the bridge, the lights low. He had intercepted the Council's orders. They were coming for him, all of them. That was good. The more they chased him, the more they ignored what was truly happening. The Dauntless sensors picked up faint signatures in the distance, ships trailing them, waiting for a moment of weakness. Ward didn't chase them off. He let them watch. He wanted the galaxy to see him, to remember. He moved to the central console and opened an old data file. It showed a map of the galaxy as it had been 20,000 years ago. Many worlds were marked in red, battlefields. He traced a path with his finger to a cluster of systems deep in the Council's core territory. That was where it had all begun, and where it would end. Back in the Citadel Spire, the Council prepared their fleets, massive carriers loaded with fighters, heavy cruisers bristling with weapons. In the hangar bays, alien soldiers armed themselves with weapons designed for one purpose: killing humans. Some of them laughed at the idea of facing only one man. Others didn't laugh at all. They had heard the old stories of human captains who destroyed fleets with nothing but wit and rage. Drash stood at the front of his own warship, the Iron Fang. He sent a message across the fleet channels. Do not underestimate him. If the Dauntless has returned, it is because we failed to kill it the first time. Do not fail again. But far away, hidden behind the Dauntless armored vault, something was waking. Energy built slowly, like a deep breath drawn over centuries. The ship's ancient systems whispered in codes no alien could read, and Captain Ward could feel it, the weight of something old and unstoppable pressing against the walls of the vault. He stood alone on the bridge, eyes locked on the stars ahead. They think they're hunting me, he said quietly. A faint hum answered him, almost like the ship understood. No, he continued, I'm hunting them, and somewhere beyond the edge of known space, in a place no alien chart dared to map, more human ships stirred in the darkness. Their engines warmed, their weapons armed. The silence of 20,000 years was breaking, and soon the galaxy would hear the human war cry again. Captain Elias Ward stood at the center of the Dauntless bridge. The ship's lights glowed, faintly casting long shadows over the cracked metal walls. He was not heading away from danger. He was moving straight toward it. His hands moved quickly over the old control panels. Every switch and button felt familiar, even after centuries. A green icon flashed on the screen. The transmission link was ready. Ward leaned forward, his voice low but steady. Send it, he said. The Dauntless released a tight beam signal, invisible to alien scanners. It cut through the void like a knife, jumping from hidden relay to hidden relay. It was a language no living alien could understand, but somewhere far away, buried beneath dead cities and empty wastelands, the signal found its mark on a ruined Earth. The wind howled through empty skyscrapers. Once, billions had lived here. Now it was a graveyard of steel and stone. But deep below the surface, in the forgotten layers beneath the old capital, machines woke from their long sleep. Rows of cryopods lined a massive chamber, each holding a sleeping human. Cold mist hissed from the seals as the pods began to open, one by one. Eyes flickered. Open, tired, confused, but alive. These were soldiers, engineers, pilots, the last of humanity's warriors from the old war. Their uniforms were worn, but still marked with the emblem of the Terran fleet. Alarms echoed through the underground base as massive generators roared to life. Screens lit up, showing images from orbit. Above the dead Earth, colossal warships slowly emerged from hidden lunar docks. They had been waiting for this moment for 20,000 years. Engines burned blue, metal groaned, and weapons long forgotten in alien history glimmered under the cold light of the moon. In one of the Underground bunkers. An elderly man sat before a control table. His hands trembled, but his voice was strong. "The Dauntless has returned," he said. Every soldier in the room went silent. That name was more than a ship. It was a promise, a warning. Orders began flying across the network. "Prepare for departure, arm all systems, ready for war, back." Aboard the Dauntless, Ward saw the first response come through. A simple code. "We wake," it was enough. The galaxy didn't know it yet. But the humans they feared were no longer ghosts. They were coming back. But Ward wasn't moving toward Earth. He had a different destination, a sector deep inside alien-controlled space. It was there that something precious had been stolen. From humanity during the last war, the aliens called it the Eternal Drive. They thought it was just an advanced engine. They didn't know it was the reason humans had nearly won before. As the Dauntless moved through the dark lanes of space, more alien fleets appeared on the long-range sensors. They were tightening the noose, trying to cut him off before he reached his target. Ward ignored them. He knew exactly how far they'd go before striking. Inside the ship's war room, old holographic maps flickered to life. Lines marked ancient battle routes. Some systems on the map were crossed out, destroyed long ago. Others glowed faintly. Secret human outposts still hidden in the shadows. Ward tapped a system near the center of the alien core worlds. A quiet star surrounded by 3 lifeless planets. That was where the trail led. Meanwhile, far above Earth's moon, the first human warship, the Aegis, completed its systems check. It was larger than most alien cruisers, its armor black and sharp-edged. Every weapon port hummed with energy. The ship's captain, a woman named Lyra Kane, stared at the empty space ahead. She had been in cryosleep so long her last memory was fighting aliens in hand-to-hand combat. Now she was awake, and the war was starting again. Her orders were simple: protect the Dauntless at all costs, even if that meant cutting through every fleet in the galaxy. The first alien scouts entered the Earth system. They didn't last long. The Aegis moved with terrifying speed, tearing through them before they could even send a warning. The silence after the battle was heavy. Only the soft hum of the engines and the beating of human hearts filled the void. Back on the Dauntless, Ward received the battle report. He said nothing, but his jaw tightened. Every alien death now was a message. Humanity was done hiding. In the deep corridors of the ship, Ward walked to the vault. The door was still sealed, covered in warning symbols from a dead age. He placed his hand on the scanner. For a moment, the ship's lights dimmed. A low vibration passed through the hull. Like the ship was breathing. Behind the door, something pulsed with light. Slow, steady, and impossibly bright. Ward didn't open it, not yet. He knew the galaxy would try to take it from him the moment it was revealed. For now, it stayed hidden, but soon it would be unleashed. The Dauntless adjusted its course, slipping into a narrow trade corridor between alien sectors. Dozens of civilian ships scattered, their captains panicking at the sight of the human warship. Some called for help, others went silent. Within minutes, alien patrols began to form ahead. Ward's eyes narrowed. They were about to learn that chasing the Dauntless was the same as hunting a storm. Far behind him, on Earth and the moon, human fleet was waking. Engines roared, weapons came online, and ships rose from their hiding places. For 20,000 years, humanity had been quiet, but the silence was over. The Kuiper Belt was a graveyard of rock and ice. Cold shadows drifted between giant chunks of frozen stone. This was where the alien fleets caught up with the Dauntless. Captain Elias Ward sat in the command chair, eyes fixed on the tactical screen. Red markers bloomed across the display. A dozen enemy cruisers, flanked by smaller gunships. They moved slowly, blocking every exit path. Their formation was tight, professional. They had come to finish the hunt. A voice crackled through the "Come," harsh and distorted. "This is Commander Vorth of the Atari Ascendancy. Power down your engines, human, and prepare to be boarded." Ward said nothing. He let the silence stretch until the alien repeated the order, his voice angrier this time. Ward's reply was calm, almost bored. "You're in my way." The alien ships moved closer, weapons charging. Their confidence was clear. One ship against their fleet was no threat. They didn't know the Dauntless was not like other ships. Ward tapped a control on the armrest. Deep in the ship's spine, an ancient system came alive. Panels slid open along the Dauntless hull, revealing dark, spear-like weapons. The crew of the alien flagship saw the movement and hesitated. One of them whispered the old name, Silent Spear, a weapon from the last human war, a weapon they thought had been destroyed forever. The first alien cruiser fired, a beam of blue energy cutting across the void. The Dauntless didn't evade. The beam struck its armor and vanished. Not a spark, not a dent. The alien crew shouted in confusion. Ward's voice was steady. "My turn." The Silent Spear fired once. There was no bright explosion, no roaring blast. Just a thin beam of light that stretched from the Dauntless to the alien flagship. For a heartbeat, nothing happened. Then the enemy ship cracked apart silently, splitting into two clean halves. Its debris drifted, lifeless, into the darkness. The other alien ships froze in shock. Ward could have fired again, but he didn't. Instead, he sent a short transmission on an open channel. 2 words: "We remember." The message spread across every listening post within hours. Alien worlds were whispering about the return of humanity's deadliest weapon. Some believed the Silent Spear could destroy planets. Others thought it could kill a ship without touching it. No one knew the truth, except Ward, and he wasn't talking. The alien fleet broke formation. Half of them retreated immediately. The rest stayed, either too proud or too afraid to run. Ward adjusted course and pushed the Dauntless forward, heading straight through their line. A few ships tried to block him. They didn't last long. One by one, thin lines of light cut them apart, silent and perfect. By the time the Dauntless cleared the Kuiper Belt, the alien fleet was gone. Wreckage floated among the ice. The comm channels were full of panic. Alien admirals demanding answers, warning their governments. But Ward didn't look back. He hadn't fought to win the battle. He had fought to send a message, far away, in the Citadel spire. The Council replayed the battle footage. Vral, the insect-like leader, leaned forward. His black eyes locked on the moment the Silent Spear fired. "That weapon should not exist," he said slowly. Drash, the reptilian general, slammed his fist against the table. "It was banned, outlawed by every treaty in the galaxy. The humans kept it. That means they never intended peace." But in the shadows, the envoy from the trade world smiled faintly. "They never forget," he whispered to himself, "and they never forgive." In the lawless zones beyond Council control, the footage inspired a different reaction. Pirates, mercenaries, and smugglers all wanted the Silent Spear. Some wanted to sell it. Others wanted to use it to seize entire systems. Bounty notices went up within hours. Enormous rewards for anyone who could bring in Captain Ward alive. Back aboard the Dauntless, Ward moved to the war room. The holographic map shifted, now showing the next target in his path. A small mining station near a red dwarf star. To the Council, it was worthless. To Ward, it was everything, hidden beneath. The station was a fragment of the Eternal Drive, stolen during the last war. He needed it before he could reach the final vault. He knew the aliens would be waiting there. That was fine. After the Kuiper Belt, they would think twice before attacking directly. But he also knew something else. Fear made enemies unpredictable. And unpredictable enemies were dangerous. He walked to the bridge and sat back in the captain's chair. The Dauntless AI flickered onto a small side screen. It had no voice, only lines of green text. Threat level, rising. Ward read it and smirked. "Good," he said quietly. "Let them come." The stars shifted as the Dauntless jumped to its next waypoint. In its wake, the silence of space was broken only by the drifting wrecks of an alien fleet that had thought humanity was weak. They knew better now, and soon the entire galaxy would know. Asterisk. The Dauntless cut through the void like a shadow. Its engines burned low, keeping it invisible to most scanners. Captain Elias Ward sat alone on the bridge, eyes on the navigation chart. He wasn't hunting alien fleets this time. He was hunting something worse. The galaxy believed all humans had vanished together, but Ward knew the truth. Not every human had stayed loyal. When the last war turned against them, some humans had switched sides. They had lived among aliens for thousands of years. They had traded human secrets for power. They had survived by betraying their own. Ward called them the Strays. To the galaxy, they were respected commanders, merchants, or even politicians. No one suspected they were human at all, but Ward knew. Their faces, he had fought beside some of them once, before they sold out everything humanity stood for. The Dauntless sensors picked up a faint trail, a signal buried inside alien data traffic. It was a code only a human could write. Ward recognized it immediately. It was a location marker. Hidden like a whisper in the noise, the Strays were gathering, far ahead. Deep inside an asteroid cluster, a massive space station spun slowly. It was alien-built but heavily modified. Dozens of ships docked around it, their designs from all corners of the galaxy. The Strays ran this place. Here, they sold weapons, information, and lives to the highest bidder. Ward didn't go in guns blazing. Instead, the Dauntless drifted on minimal power until it was hidden in the station's shadow. Ward boarded alone, wearing a hooded cloak that hid his face. The air inside smelled of oil and old metal. Crowds of aliens moved through wide market corridors. Everywhere he looked, deals were being made. Weapons traded, secrets sold. He moved with purpose, weaving through the noise and chaos until he reached a quiet bar at the far end. It was dimly lit, the air heavy with smoke. In the back, sitting at a round table, were 3 Strays. Ward recognized them instantly. One was tall, with pale gray skin, the result of gene mixing with their alien allies. Another had replaced one arm with a cybernetic limb carved with alien runes. The third was smaller, quiet, but her eyes were sharp and human. They saw him coming, the smallest. One smiled without warmth. "So," she said softly, "the ghost comes to life." Ward didn't sit. "You've had 20,000 years to run," he said, his voice low. "Now I'm here to collect." The cybernetic armed man leaned forward. "You're too late, Ward," he said. "The galaxy belongs to the Council now. You're one ship against millions." Ward's expression didn't change. "I don't need millions," he said. "I just need the eternal drive." The words froze them. The pale-skinned one narrowed his eyes. "You still think you can use it? After what it cost us last time?" Ward stepped closer. "It didn't cost us. You stole it," he said, his voice sharp. "You gave it to the Council, and they buried it. Now I'm going to take it back." For a moment, no one spoke. Then the small woman leaned back, sipping her drink. "You can try," she said, "but you'll never leave this station alive." Ward's reply was simple. "I didn't come alone." Far outside, the Dauntless came to life. Its engines flared, and its weapons unfolded from hidden compartments. Docked ships scrambled as alarms rang through the station. The silent spear fired once, tearing through a hangar bay door. Explosions rocked the structure, sending crowds into chaos. Inside, Ward moved fast. He drew a compact weapon from his belt, firing in short bursts, not to kill, but to force the Strays toward the exit. He didn't want their corpses. He wanted the tracker he had planted on the pale one's shoulder in the first second he'd walked in. By the time the Strays escaped through a side corridor, Ward was already heading back to the docking ring. The Dauntless's eye sent him a single update: tracker active. Pursuit possible. Ward smiled grimly. Now he didn't have to hunt in the dark. The Strays would lead him straight to the eternal drive. The station was in flames as the Dauntless pulled away. Alien defense ships tried to block the escape. The silent spear cut them down in precise, clean strikes. No wasted shots, no warning. From the safety of deep space, Ward watched the tracker's signal moving. The strays were on the run, heading toward a restricted sector. He knew where they were going, the Vault World, a place even the Council feared to approach. The Eternal Drive was there, locked away with other ancient weapons too dangerous to use. Ward turned his chair toward the stars. "They think they're running," he said quietly, "but they're bringing me exactly where I need to go." The Dauntless shifted course. In the shadows of the galaxy, the real war had just begun. And this time, it wasn't just against aliens. It was against humans who had forgotten what it meant to be human. Asterisk. The stars over the Varela sector burned red. Fleets were gathering, human and alien both. It was no longer whispers in the dark. The war had begun. Captain Elias Ward stood on the bridge of the Dauntless. The tracker he had planted on the pale stray still pulsed on his tactical map. It was moving toward the Vault World, a dead system buried inside Council territory. But between Ward and that system, the largest alien fleet in centuries was forming. The Dauntless AI displayed their numbers, over 200 warships, carriers, cruisers, destroyers, all bristling with weapons. This was no blockade. This was a kill cage. Ward didn't flinch. He had been outnumbered before, and now, for the first time in 20,000 years, he wasn't alone. The void around the Dauntless shimmered. Dozens of human warships emerged from hidden wormholes. Black-armored destroyers, heavy cruisers, with razor-sharp bows. The Aegis took point, Captain Lyra Kane at its helm. Her voice came through the cum, steady and clear. "We've got your back, Dauntless. Let's make history." Ward gave a single nod. The human fleet spread into formation. Every ship moved like it had been waiting for this moment forever. In a way, they had. The alien fleet moved first. Their carriers launched swarms of fighter craft, filling the void with darting shapes. Missiles streaked forward. Beams of energy tore through the black. Ward didn't give the order to fire yet. He let the enemy close. Let them believe they were pushing the humans back. Then the silent spear fired. One shot, clean and precise. An alien cruiser split in half before its captain could react. The human fleet opened fire at the same moment. Torpedoes slammed into carrier hulls. Railguns punched through shields. The void lit up like a storm of suns. But the aliens were not weak. They struck back hard. A human destroyer near the edge of the formation was gutted by plasma fire. Its crew ejected in escape pods. Ward's jaw tightened. Every human loss was personal. The Dauntless dove into the thick of the battle. Ward used the ship like a blade, weaving between enemy lines. Every shot from the silent spear crippled a warship. The aliens tried to target him, but the Dauntless armor swallowed their attacks, turning beams and missiles into harmless light. Above the chaos, the Aegis broke through a gap in the alien line. Kane's voice came through the cum again. "We can cut them in half right here." Ward didn't hesitate. "Do it." The Aegis unleashed its full broadside. Alien ships exploded in a chain reaction, their fuel cells igniting one after another. The alien formation began to fracture. But even as they fell apart, Ward noticed something strange. The tracker signal was moving faster. The strays weren't trapped in the battle. They were using it as cover to slip past both fleets. They were running for the Vault World right now. Ward opened a channel to the fleet. "Hold the line," he said. "I'm going after them." Kane's reply was sharp. "You won't make it through alone." Ward's answer was colder. "I will." The Dauntless broke away from the main fight, engines burning white-hot enemy. Ships tried to intercept. They didn't last more than seconds before the silent spear tore through them. Ward kept his course locked on the Vault World. Behind him, the battle raged. Human ships fought like they had never been gone. Alien commanders shouted orders, but fear was spreading faster than discipline. For every human ship destroyed, 3 alien warships fell. Ward didn't look back. His focus was on the pale stray signal. It was close now, only a few jumps ahead. The Vault World was coming into view, a dead star surrounded by drifting black stations. Every one of them was armed with weapons designed to kill anything that entered. The Dauntless slowed, scanning for a path. There wasn't one. The strays had gone straight into the defense grid. Ward smiled faintly. "That's where you make your mistake," he murmured. The Dauntless AI displayed an ancient code sequence, something pulled from the oldest human war archives. Ward entered it into the com. For a moment, the defense grid paused, its guns turning away. A narrow corridor of safe space opened in the middle of the kill zone. The Dauntless slipped inside, far behind. The human fleet was still locked in combat. The aliens were rallying, pushing back hard. But Kane held the line. Her voice over the fleet channel was steady. "Ward will get through. Buy him time." Inside the Vault World's orbit, Ward could see the main fortress now. It was a jagged ring station wrapped around the dying star. And docked at its highest point was the Stray's flagship. They were already unloading something. A long black device that pulsed faintly with light. Ward knew it instantly. The Eternal Drive. The hunt was over. Now it was war. Asterisk. The Dauntless came out of the narrow, safe corridor like a blade cutting into the Vault World's heart. The dying star burned red and swollen, throwing deep shadows over the black fortress ring. Captain Elias Ward sat forward in his chair, his eyes locked on the Stray's flagship docked above the station. The Eternal Drive glimmered faintly in the harsh light, its surface etched with ancient human markings. It looked almost alive. The com crackled. A woman's voice, the small Stray from the asteroid station, spoke with cold amusement. "You made it, Ward. I'll give you that. But this is ours now." Ward didn't raise his voice. "It was never yours," he said. "It belongs to humanity. And I'm here to take it back." The fortress defense systems woke. Massive cannons turned toward the Dauntless, missile bays opening. Ward didn't wait for them to fire. "Bring weapons online," he ordered. The silent spear extended from the hull with a low mechanical growl. Its thin beam lanced out, punching through the nearest defense tower. The explosion lit the station's surface, sending fragments drifting into the void. The Stray's flagship undocked, its engines flaring. Bright, smaller escort ships poured from the fortress like hornets. They were fast, darting around the Dauntless in tight attack runs. Ward's hands moved quickly over the controls, guiding his ship into a tight spiral. The Dauntless railguns and point defense turrets opened fire, shredding the escorts one by one. The Stray's ship was heavier. Built for war, it moved to flank him, weapons blazing. Energy blasts struck the Dauntless armor, but the strange black plating absorbed most of the impact. Ward fired the silent spear again. The beam cut a deep scar along the enemy hull, but didn't break it. Whoever had built their armor had learned from the old human wars. The fortress launched more ships. Ward knew he couldn't hold them all off forever. He needed the Eternal Drive now, before they tried to move it deeper. "Into the fortress, AI," he said. The green text flashed across the side screen, awaiting command. "Vault breach protocol. Code black." The Dauntless shuddered as panels along its sides opened, releasing a swarm of drone pods. The drones streaked toward the fortress, tiny black shapes too small to track. They cut into the station's hull with surgical precision, targeting airlocks and internal corridors. Inside the fortress, chaos exploded. Security teams scrambled as explosions tore through the ring's lower levels. In the confusion, Ward used the Dauntless engines to punch forward, closing the gap between him and the Stray's ship. The two vessels collided shields first, the impact sending shockwaves through both crews. Ward left the bridge, moving quickly through the Dauntless central corridor. He reached the docking bay where his personal boarding craft waited. It was a small, fast gunship designed for exactly this kind of fight. As he climbed in, the IS final text message flashed on the console. "Time window, 4 minutes." Ward shot across the void toward the Stray's flagship. Enemy gunners tried to hit him, but his craft darted and rolled. Weaving through their fire, he slammed into the ship's docking port, magnetic clamps locking his craft in place. The boarding ramp opened. and Ward stepped into the enemy vessel with his rifle raised. The corridors were narrow and dim. Shadows moved ahead, stray guards with alien weapons. Ward fired in short, precise bursts, dropping them one by one. He didn't slow every second. He gave them time to secure the Eternal Drive. He reached the main cargo hold. The Eternal Drive sat on a reinforced platform, surrounded by armed strays. The small woman stood at its side, her smile cold. "You think taking it will save your people?" she asked. Ward stepped closer. "No," he said. "It will save the galaxy from you." The fight was brutal. Ward moved like a man who had fought for centuries, his shots deliberate, his steps relentless. One by one, the strays fell until only the small woman remained. She didn't raise her weapon. She simply stared at him. "You don't understand, Ward," she said. "The Eternal Drive doesn't just move ships. It moves time." For a heartbeat, Ward hesitated. If she was telling the truth, then this was more than a weapon. It was a way to change the entire war before it began. But he didn't let the thought linger. Some power was too dangerous to trust to anyone, even himself. He moved to the control panel, entering the shutdown code only a Terran captain would know. The Eternal Drive's glow dimmed, its hum fading to silence. Ward activated the transport clamps on his suit, locking the device to him. The woman took a step forward, but Ward's rifle was already aimed at her. "Stay," he said, and turned away. He ran back through the ship as alarms blared. His boarding craft launched just as the Dauntless fired a barrage into the Stray's flagship. The enemy vessel erupted into flame, spinning into the void. Ward landed back on the Dauntless, the Eternal Drive secured in the vault at last. The fortress guns were still firing, but the human fleet had arrived. Kane's Aegis led the charge, tearing through the last of the enemy defenses. The aliens fled, the fortress burning behind them. On the bridge, Ward stood with the stars ahead of him. The galaxy had seen the return of humanity. They had seen the Dauntless cut through fleets and fortresses, and now they would see what came next. Ward placed a hand on the console. "Set course," he said. The eye flashed its green text. "Destination?" Ward's eyes narrowed. "Every world that's forgotten what we are." The Dauntless turned, engines roaring. For the first time in 20,000 years, humanity was not quiet, and the galaxy would never be the same.